look, everybody is entitled to their opinion. And I don't think that when anybody that does any type of commentary, content, whatever, they come on expecting for everyone to agree with what they have to say and even feeling as if they might be right in what they're saying. But I do feel like more overwhelmingly than ever, when you talk about as artists, there is this need or this want to go against that artist, and especially with the big three for obvious reasons. Now, I feel like Kendrick and Drake, that whole conversation has been talked about enough. There's going to constantly be conversations because it was one of, if not the biggest beefs in hip hop history. So understood. Now, of course, you got the third guy who put a diss track out and realized, this maybe isn't the right way to go about this. Now, I understand in hip hop and for hip hop's sake why that is. Why, when he did that, people looked at and talked about J. Cole in a whole different light than what he was looked at and perceived as for a long time. And that is because obviously he put this diss track out. Clearly, the diss track isn't anything to look at and say, oh, this might do something. This got some fire to it. And then you apologize and say, I'm a bow out. Now, one thing that I feel like doesn't get taken into account is, first off, it was said from the very beginning, like, hey, Kendrick was truly going out when that all right, which was Drake's. And the things that were said and the things that were eventually said and the way that the beef eventually went, do you realistically see a J. Cole being in that type of beats? Or do you see J. Cole in a more lyrical spar? We are just going back and forth to see whose pen is better. Now, I am here to not necessarily give the excuses of why J. Cole maybe didn't, but that doesn't take away from the great artist, the great pen that J. Cole has. And I feel like more than ever, every single time he drops something, especially if it's lyrical miracle and it's him in any way, shape, or form telling the rest of the hip hop world that he is unfuckwittable, there is this need for everybody to come out and say, shut the hell up. You didn't take the battle when you've had the battle. Guys, can we stop? Because again, if J. Cole, let's just say J. Cole stayed in that beat and the same outcome happened, all you are going to see is constant videos about how J. Cole allowed himself to attach himself to Drake in a effort to take down the ultimate, Thanos, I guess, in theory, or the boogeyman in Kendrick Lamar. There would have been so many videos talking about how J. Cole couldn't stand on his own, or Drake couldn't stand on his own and needed the help of, or you see what I'm saying? Do you get the narratives that will constantly push no matter what? I think at the end of the day, Cole stood on his own, and there is something to be applauded about that. Now, if you disagree, it's because you wanted to see the rap battle. You expected to see the rap battle with the way that J. Cole was talking on a lot of those features. Now, that feature run, right? I think that is the reason why the conversation got so loud after he apologized and went about things the way he did. It was because of that feature run. It was because every single time he was on a feature, he was killing he was killing the track. It was essentially his track. That's a big conversation that I felt like was being had in hip hop, and for obvious reasons. Even though I don't feel like the majority had Cole in the top, or not in the top three, but the majority had Cole in the top three, but had him number one in that top three. I think that there was a conversation starting to brew about Cole being that guy. Now, again, the reason that Cole fans fight tooth and nail about his decision is because the way that J. Cole has presented himself in hip hop just in general, right? Now, of course, he's talked about with his pen, he doesn't think he thinks he's unfuckwittable. That's what you are supposed to think. when you are a rapper, when you are somebody that is a lyricist and you believe wholeheartedly that you are one of, if not the best lyricist in the game right now, if not all time, right? Now, when you again take into the battles account, and that this is Clouds was a good song to me personally. I'm not going to sit here and try to persuade you or sway you into believing that if you are somebody on the other side that believes he shouldn't be talking like that no more. Like, well, what do you want? Cole with the melodies? That's not J. Cole. That's never been J. Cole. And again, I'm not saying that people that have started to run with this narrative to haven't listened to Cole. I just don't think that they understand Cole and its and his whole as an artist, as a human being, as like saying that shit don't sit right with my spirit makes so much more sense if you understand Cole, right? And that doesn't mean that it doesn't still or it didn't still take away from at that time what we were perceiving to be a three-way beef between Cole, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar. We all were expecting for that to happen, and it didn't. It was just Drake and Kendrick, and again, we know the obvious outcome, but my whole point being, I think Cole stands a lot better than what is being said. Again, he's doing what he's always done. He knows in a lot of ways, he is and has been 2 or 3 for a lot of fans for a long time, but that doesn't take away from the greatness of J. Cole in my eyes, right? And again, if later on you do see the Cole versus Kendrick pen battle, I'm all for it. I'm not gonna be like, nah, last time you ducked. That was such a different type of battle and such a different type of zone that I feel not only Kendrick was in at that time, but Drake was in. And Kendrick and Cole are cool. Drake and and Cole are cool. Like Cole again stands to be almost I don't want to say the middleman necessarily, but he can talk to both sides or could talk to both sides. I don't know what his relationships are now necessarily, but my whole point being he can still talk the way he talks. He doesn't need to engage in every single battle. I don't think that this means that he can necessarily pussy out all of a sudden. I think the concept of that is dumb within itself. I do understand that people do have a negative understanding of why he did it and wanted to see the battle. But again, I think regardless of Cole doing it, it was a lose-lose. If he left, if he didn't leave, it was gonna be a lose-lose. The got the big three, and it's the Boogeyman versus two, at the end of the day, they're great artists. And you can say whatever you want to say, but they didn't get to where they did for no reason. They're talking about Cole and Drake. Like Kendrick, you know what I'm saying, threw his shots. Just take a second. Hey, get out of having to fight every single body that says let's fight, and just understand that he was finally was fighting smarter, not harder, and that I think should be okay in hindsight. With us having the foresight, with us actually understanding what occurred, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it's not that damn bad, guys. You guys are kind of over exaggerating it at this point. I'm just being honest. I think a lot of the fandoms and the big three have been over exaggerated, and we're going to talk about all three of them. But I really wanted to talk about Cole because at the end of the day, like I do understand again, the perception has changed on Cole. That it's obvious. It don't matter what he drops or what he says. Now, the first drop was horrible, but these drops that he's had ever since and the way that he's kind of gone about the beef to me hasn't been as, I guess, like, career altering or career damaging as people can destroy, Drake in the ways that he did and was able to essentially show that it's just big me, essentially, right? And that is something that at the end of the day, I don't think Cole looks at and is feels as a knock on who he is and what his character is and the artist that he has been and the career that he has built up to this point. It does, and as you can see, beefs are career altering. That's why beefs are something that can take time to brew because it is career altering. There are moves that have to be made before and after. Again, there are certain things that has happened on Drake's side that everybody has said, "What are you doing?" I locked honestly, right? Kendrick feels like every time he moves, he's moving in the right direction. So again, that shit takes a lot out of you to have to go into that mindset, to have to continue to maintain that mindset if you are to make a song like Kendrick made, or just everything that he's been able to do within the past year. But anyways, I just want to talk a little bit about Cole and what I felt with every fucking commentary I feel I hear all the time. I had to come and be the contrarian. I don't care what you think. I do care what you think, but I'm saying, like, if you come and you start trying to break down why Cole was wrong, I'm not. I like all three of these artists at the end of the day. So for me, I always try to understand. And I feel like for a lot of most or some more than what is perceived, there is a certain understanding and a certain maturity to the understanding. But anyways, I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. I'm out.